All
So
right.
you never picked up the folk element in the Pixies?
No, I got to admit that must have flown right over my head. I didn't get a lot of Joan Baez vibes off these guys.
I would have loved to. I don't know how much in advance it was published. So whether people turned up to see them, or whether it was a nice, unsuspecting audience of sandal wearing, hemp wearing sort of, guys that was just, what the hell is this?
It's showtime, folks.
Hello, all you fine people out there and into the music world. We're back with another episode. And John, if I'm not mistaken, given that I'm starting this off, there's probably a song in the works for me, sir. What have you got up your sleeve?
Yeah, and I just like to say a big hello to all the unfine people as well, because they
Yeah,
don't get mentioned.
There's got to be a few of them out there.
So, yeah. Oh, yeah. So I've got a track from a band which you have heard of. You may have heard of the song as well, but I do not believe you would have heard of this version. The band is Pixies.
Okay, I know some Pixies. I don't know their entire oeuvre, but I have gone back and listened to some of them, as it was basically a mandate. Once I started getting into like a lot of indie rock music, it was like, well, you got to go listen to some of this stuff if you're going to appreciate the new stuff. So, but what's the track? And I'll let you know if I know that.
The song is Gigantic.
Okay, that is one of the few tracks by them that I am familiar with. But you say this is something like a version or something that I haven't heard before. What do you have here?
Yeah, I wouldn't give too much away, but this is bizarrely, when they sort of start getting back together after their hiatus, they played a gig at the Newport Folk Festival. Yeah, and they did an acoustic set.
Oh, well, then I've never heard this track acoustic. This will be something new and different for me. But yeah, I'm kind of excited to hear what this all sounds like, because I've always attributed so much of their sound to kind of like their distortion levels and kind of the crunchiness sometimes of their guitars and stuff. So this is all right.
So you never picked up the folk element in the Pixies?
No, I got to admit that must have flown right over my head. I didn't get a lot of Joan Baez vibes off these guys.
I would have loved to. I don't know how much in advance it was published. So whether people turned up to see them, or whether it was a nice, unsuspecting audience of sandal wearing, hemp wearing sort of, guys that was just, what the hell is this? And I think that would have been better. I really would think that would be fantastic. Yeah, but yeah, go away, have a watch and listen and tell us what you think.
Okay, we'll do.
Kim, will you sing one more song? Please? You wish you could have one more smoke? Well, no, go ahead. Have a smoke. No, they're talking.
No, I'll go ahead and sing.
All right.
Tough choice.
What's that?
We can't take it down. We can't bring it down.
I know.
It's already down.
Oh, so we don't have to. Good night, Kim.
Good night, Charles. Good afternoon, Charles.
Good night, Joe.
Good night, Charles.
Good night, David.
Good night, Joe.
Good night, everybody. Afternoon.
I love the the picking up of the cell phone after the performance. That was fun. That was great. I know I've heard this song once or twice before. Obviously not this rendition of it, but this was really great and a lot of fun. Let's go talk with John. I am back. So first of all, that crowd knew that they were playing that day. I could tell they were very responsive. They must have been on the bill, and then the I'm sure the folk festival was like, shit, if they're coming off hiatus, as long as they're doing things acoustically, we're gonna get we're gonna sell a whole bunch more tickets because people are probably champing at the bit to see these guys perform again. So probably it was a strategic move on their part to kind of allow them, or let them be part of their folk festival. It was interesting though, because it was the same song, but not the same song. There were elements which weren't as like I don't know, tempestuous or like just frenetic or loud as the original version, the version that I'm familiar with. But there was a charm to this acoustic version of a song that otherwise I associate with chunky electric sounds, all sounding quite, organic and obviously acousticy. So it was fun. It was fun to see their banter even, and the playful nature of the band before and even after the track, or the performance, I should say, in this instance. I didn't take a lot of notes though, because there was nothing, like I said, there's nothing new to me other than the instruments that they use to play it, which again, really aren't that much of a divergence from the instruments they would typically use. Just they went acoustic. It was like some reverse Dylan stuff where Dylan goes electric. It's like the Pixies go acoustic. And that was was a fun element to it, but they didn't really stray away from the roots of the song's sound, which was probably a good thing. We talked about it before. Well, it's good to do that when you're covering a song. I'm glad that they didn't reinvent the wheel with this, and they stuck to conventions, but just played everything unplugged, which seemed to be probably the motif of the entire performance and the entire concert as a whole. So they found a way to fit into and acclimate to their environment pretty well, considering what I know about the Pixies, and not really associating them with either an acoustic sound or a folk sound. I could tell that this was later. Like you if you hadn't mentioned that, it would have been like, oh, this is post hiatus stuff, because they all are, older iterations of themselves than when they first started the Pixies. So this is a fun live concert, and certainly a fun live rendition of this song that you're probably not going to hear or find anywhere else. So it was cool that you brought this one to the channel instead of just giving me a song that I'm semi-familiar with and me being like, oh, yep, it's just as I remembered from, when, I don't know, 15 years ago when I first put on the track or whatever. So good shout, man. This is probably a lot I have to imagine that this video or this concert, this performance of theirs has got maybe like a cult following among the diehard Pixie fans out there because of how different it is for them. Coupled with the fact that they're coming back onto the scene after taking a break. So, am I right in making that assumption or?
Yeah. Oh, it's there. I thought, yeah, I have got it. Do you know, I am not a big fan of having the video or the DVD of live concerts. It's just not my thing. But I do have this, which is and I was struck the first time I saw it as just certain versions. It's really interesting watching the whole thing. So you can tell from the start that Joey Santiago, the lead guitarist, is absolutely shitting himself. Because he's got a Spanish guitar, for God's sake, and he's trying to make these sounds that he makes. And you can tell from the very first song, he does relax into it a little bit. And there's this great, sort of banter about it, and not in this track, but in other tracks as well. The camera sort of sweeps out across the crowd, but then across the harbour, and you've got sailing boats going by to the track of Acoustic Pixies. It's just really odd, but it's great. So yeah, I chose this because Gigantic is one of those songs which I think even people with a passing interest in Pixies know it, and it's one of their more accessible songs while still having a bit of an edge to it. I will say, hands up straight away, that Pixies is probably my third favorite band of all time. After the two obvious, Beatles and Zeppelin. I mean, there's a few vying for that place as well, but probably Pixies, just because I thought they were so amazing. I only saw them a couple of times live, and both times were just unbelievable. They had that attack and that energy and pace, which was incredible at the time. So I'm sure you know, but just for any viewers who don't, Black Francis is the main guy, vocals and a rhythm guitar, and the main songwriter. Joey Santiago, lead guitar and sonic effects on some tracks of theirs. Kim Deal, the lovely, lovely Kim Deal on bass and vocals, and occasionally when Black Francis would let her, squeaked in the odd song, but not many, which is why she buggered off in the first place and probably breeders. And David Lovering on drums and part-time magician. So yeah, they're famous for this alt rock, surf rock, but most importantly, loud, quite loud sound, which really was championed by a lot of people after them. This song Gigantic is from the 1988 album Surfer Rosa, which again is in my top 5 albums of all time. It was album of the year for both Sounds and Melody Maker, which are music press in the UK. And Gigantic was actually the only single off that album and their first ever single. And it hit the dizzying heights of number 93 in the UK charts because no one knew what the hell to do with it. But, it was a new sound, and people was like, "What the hell is this?" But I love this version, and it really is. All the songs they do in this acoustic set all of them have a charm and work, and they're slightly tweaked because they can't do acoustically what they would do in the studio or live. Clearly they can't. But what really comes to the fore in all of the tracks, and particularly this one, are two things, which is Black Francis' amazing rhythm guitar. I mean, there's a bit in the song where he's almost leaning back, and there's this dazed look over his face, and they're just strumming and just, they're totally in the pocket, and it's just, and you can see he's probably at his most happiest doing that. And, through many, many Pixies songs, he does some amazing rhythm guitar work, which lays a foundation for Joey Santiago to go off and do his weird shit, which gives them the distinctive sound. And also, which is probably, I mean, definitely for me was underappreciated at the time, is David Loving's drumming is fantastic on this.
Yeah, no,
And
the
with the
drumming
whole
was
album.
the standout part of the
Really,
song for me
really, really
from a
good.
live performance standpoint. To be completely honest with you, there was the part where like the two guitars are sort of doing their thing when Kim isn't singing, maybe 2/3 of the way through the performance.
Yeah.
There is signs of a little clunkiness because of what you've described earlier, which is, to me, knowing all of this and having seen all of this and knowing the Pixies enough to know that this is not their element, it adds to the charm, right? Like,
Yeah.
like, come on, man. They probably tinkered around acoustics a little bit and were like, all right, we're ready. And then just threw
Yeah.
themselves into
Probably
it.
did it a
and-
week or a few
Yeah,
days. That's all
yeah.
they did. Yeah.
So there was a little bit of that happening in that part, but that only kind of made me smile from a
Yeah.
charmed, standpoint, like, oh, that'll happen. But it was
Yeah.
still a great performance, and it was really interesting to hear it acoustic. And Kim still sounded really good.
Her
Comparatively
voice sounded
speaking.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, she'd been through the ringer a bit for a few years before that, but I remember seeing a documentary. I think it's called Loud, Quiet, Loud, which was about the 2005 Reformation and their tour. And you could see on that documentary, she's still really delicate. And she's in recovery, and she has a sister with her at all times for support who'd been through the same thing, Kelly Deal. And so she wasn't, she really was. But this, she sounded really good.
Oh yeah,
That sort of lovely breathy quality to her voice, So according to, I mean, they co-wrote this song, Deal and Black Francis, and according to her, the main inspiration for this song was there's the film Crimes of the Heart, which I think is a 50s film where a white married woman falls in love with a black teenager, and the song's lyrics mostly revolve around a woman's observation of an attractive black man making love to another woman. And and there's lots of other stuff about it, but it's just a great song. It's always been, one of my favorites of the sort of, easier listening Pixies tunes. There are some that are not, which are still wonderful. But yeah, so I just thought you'd get a kick out of seeing them slightly older, getting to grips with acoustics. Joey Santiago shitting himself on a Spanish guitar.
Yeah.
Kim Deal lugging around this huge acoustic bass.
Oh, that thing might as well have been a goddamn cello on her. It looks so huge.
But it had a lovely sound to it as well.
Oh no, absolutely. I have an acoustic bass, and it's usually like when I'm writing songs, I write everything on my acoustic, and then I determine whether or not I think, and more often than not, it does. I just translate it to my electric. Every once in a while, you're like, nope, this is meant to be an acoustic song with acoustic guitar and maybe like some backing electric guitar doing some light shit. But I always write on acoustic. It's probably got the most miles of all my instruments because of all the writing I've done on it, and it does have a really beautiful, rich. That hollow body, man, really makes those resonant, deep notes carry. So when I heard her going away at that very rhythmic part that she was doing to kind of kick things, I was like, "Yep, it's translated really well back to the acoustic from the electric version that I'm so used to having heard."
Yeah, definitely. Great. Well, I'm glad you liked it, and I thought yourself and maybe some others would get a kick out of it.
I'm
Those
sure.
that haven't seen it. Do you want to wrap things up?
Yep, I'll do it. Let me carry the weight, John. You've done enough here. I appreciate you sharing this one with me. This is a really, really cool live performance. It makes me want to go check out other songs of theirs that made it into this performance to see if some of my like low-key favorites were on here. I mean, Gigantic was already one of them, so it's kind of cool that that I got to see that in and of itself. But yeah, I'm definitely going to revisit this, I'm sure. Everybody out there, I know that there are a lot of Pixie fans out there in the YouTube sphere. So please, if you like this, hit the thumbs up, ring the bell, because we've got other great songs across other great genres that are featured on the show multiple times a week. It's just, if you're into music, whether it's mainstream or whether it's eclectic or whether it's possibly middle of the road, you'll probably find it on this channel. If not, suggest it to us or hit up Greg on Ko-fi. We love having you all here. Hit us up in the comments field. We love interacting with you guys. All of that being said, we'll see you guys on the next episode of Into the Music.